The only thing that's stopping me from scaling
Yeah.
is me and us. I think the first thing is that you struggle to let go. Yeah, I found it really hard to let go. And we're getting all these inquiries. We just couldn't handle the inquiries. The systems weren't set up. It was messy. And I was just like, can I even deliver this if the desired
Yes.
work comes through? That was like the best and the worst moment. Employee mindset. There's always this someone to blame.
Yes.
And then you flick, and that's like, who the F am I going to blame now? And some people can't do that, and they find people to blame.
It's all your fault.
We seem to have just created this kind of a false economy where somehow going into business is all about lifestyle, and unfortunately social media is flooded with those stories. Most of the business people I've met, you work your butt off. It's not for everyone.
Right at the edge, sitting in their garage, thinking whether we should start this or not. Listen to everyone.
But do it your own way.
If I want to start off with understanding, many founders start businesses because they are good at something, not because they want to lead people. At what point did you personally realize that being good at something and leading others at the same time were two different things?
So I suppose I'm a bit unique in that sense because my business is about leadership.
True.
So I never got sick of leading people or anything like that. So I didn't get into. In fact, when I started the business,
Yeah.
and for the first 2 or 3 years during COVID, particularly, it was just me. And the hardest thing I found was no longer having a team to lead. So. So for me, I had found a calling. I still wasn't 100% good at it. I don't think I hadn't had 10, 20 years experience. I was like, hey, I've been doing it for 2 decades. Like, buy me or buy what we do. There's none of that. I just found something that just got me out of bed every morning, and like nothing I'd ever felt before. And I'll talk a bit more about that story because it wasn't a realization or epiphany. It was more a journey of stress testing that purpose. But yeah, for me, as soon as I scaled to have a team, I was back in my comfort zone because that's where I love being. I love having people kind of rely on me a little bit, but also leading people, seeing people grow, seeing people succeed in their own right. So yeah, that's not an issue I had. Luckily, I run a leadership company. So
True. No, absolutely. But in terms of, people, most of the people, they feel that, I'm good at this. Let's kick it off. You are a exception maybe, and, you like leading. Similarly, people feel I'm not good at leading, but I'm good at doing X, Y, Z things. So how do you, talk to those people or tell those people what would be kind of a different approach that you would recommend to those kind of people?
So, this is a journey I went through as well, because let's say you're good at something and whatever that might be, you can scale yourself, right? So you can scale your brand, you can scale the amount of money you charge, the work you do. But at some point, you're going to cap out. At some point, you just cap out. And a lot of people do. I was part of this, I think they call the Thought Leaders Academy in Australia, New Zealand. And that was the model, is to, and you see this all the time, write a book, start a podcast, do some speaking gigs, consult out, or do some coaching training. Like that was kind of their model, right?
Yeah.
Where you give your time for a very high ticket price.
Yes.
And I kind of went down the track and I didn't really like it because I was like, and there's a deeper story here, but I was like, hang on, what am I trying to scale? If I'm trying to scale my impact, I can see like this will be a sunset strategy here.
True.
I'm only going to cap out at some stage. So for me, I really wanted to make an impact that's bigger than me, or I sort of say, hey, if I get run over by a bus, then does it all die with me, or does it actually continue? So for me, that was a thing. Like, what is it that I'm trying to scale? Is it just my skill, or is it the impact I'm making?
That's true.
So that was kind of my sort of turning point. So no, the impact is no point having a mission statement and a purpose on the website if you're not prepared to back it. Otherwise, it's just a bit of fluff, right?
Yeah, that's true.
So for me, I was like, the only way I can do this and feel like I've really achieved something amazing is if I scale my impact well beyond me. And one day, this is going to sound morbid, but if one day I'm not here, I hope that something we started has kept going over the years and hopefully, the generations. So that's how I think.
No, fair enough. I mean, that is a great, the vision that you have for how you want to do it. And, the long lasting effect of it, would you want to keep it? That's amazing, because exactly that could be one of the reasons why people even get into that processes. There are lots of, even for sales, for example, like us, there are lots of processes with the people who have built it, left it, but it's not here. But again, it's a part, it's a journey. It stays for you for a longer time. But when it comes to the these founders and the leaders themselves, one thing that stands out is much about the topic that stands out is the business keeps on growing, because yes, if you're selling good product, the business will keep on turning the money. People more will get interested. You do marketing strategies, will keep on. But the problem is about the founders, right? So the founders, the leaders, the entrepreneurs. What are the top 3 things that break first when a founder doesn't evolve as a business grows?
Well, and I probably experienced that, but also if I think about the founders we work with.
I mean, you can tell about what you've experienced, of course.
I think the first thing is that you struggle to let go, because you're so passionate and you're so good at what you're doing, and you care about the quality of the delivery or the product or the service that you put out. So I think the first internal barrier is letting go. And even if, like, I came from organizational leadership, right? So I was very good at letting go. I was like, I delegate that, I transfer the ownership here, I'll coach people, now I just step back. That was all well and good when I was doing it for someone else, or with someone else's money, or with someone else's product or service.
True.
But when it was my thing, it was my name and my brand attached to the service or what we're selling. I found it really hard to let go. And it was interesting because I would be coaching others saying, this is something I'm going to help you to let go. And then here I was struggling myself. So I had a coach who was helping me. It was kind of like a weird situation. I was able to do it for others. I couldn't do it for myself. And so I had someone help me. So I think that's the biggest one is letting go. And then I think the second one I found is, for me, and we're kind of in this right now, is that for me to scale to the next level, I need to step away from the stuff I enjoy doing, not just let go of the business, but the stuff I enjoy doing, which is being in front of people, delivering, coaching, training, whatever I do, and just start doing the stuff that the team needs. So the systems, the processes, kind of developing the back end of the business, which is kind of boring sometimes, and at times it's just like, man, I'm just sitting here. What am I doing now? I'm a super administrator. I'm not even doing what I started off doing. And I think if you're not clear on it, 2 things will happen. Either you just go, nah, I'm going to do this, and you won't, or you keep dipping back in to the delivery side of the So I think that's the transition we are still going through right now. It's like, how do you scale by having all the right systems that are going to help you scale? I'll share one more thing, Bridget, is like, I only had this last year, which was like the best and the most awful feeling at the same time. Because when you start off, you're always struggling for the next client, the cash flow, sustainability. How's the pipeline looking? And that keeps you up at night. And then, after a while, you start to get that. And we're a service-based business, so it's not like we launch a product and it scales, right? We're always kind of hunting, essentially. We have better partnerships, we're still hunting. And then you get to a point where, which I got to last year, where I said, oh my God, the only thing that's stopping me from scaling is me and us. It's no longer, I can't make this because, there's not enough work in the market, because there was. And we're getting all these inquiries. We just couldn't handle the inquiries. The systems weren't set up. It was messy. And I was just like, can I even deliver this if the desired work comes through? And I think that was a kind of an exciting but very anxious part of, because I just said, I need to now completely rethink about this business as a whole, and not just spend time, but start making some serious investment in the systems. That was like the best and the worst moment at the same time.
But would you still recommend any 2 things that that letting go was one of the things that people founders or leaders need to understand that, and need to evolve as well, and that's one of the things. But any other thing that you would think of?
Also, that second point I was making, if I summarize that would be, this is actually someone else gave this point to me, so not my wisdom, is build a business, not cash flow. So that was from Dale, who's a founder of Inside Recruitment. And when he said it, I just kind of went, that just made so much sense. Everything makes sense now.
Yeah, true.
And when he said, and it's like, that's that second mindset shift. It's like, you build a business, not a cash flow.
True.
Easier said than done when the bank account's a bit dry and your bills come in.
Absolutely. No, fair enough. I like the example that you talked about about a situation that you had a best feeling as well as the almost awful feeling. But the outside world, it's much more that the business is running great, right? Because you have people there, things are happening. So from the outside world, usually looks amazing. It's absolutely amazing, right? So if you come across, I'm sure you must have come across a lot of leaders within the business where the outside world is amazing, who look successful from outside. But what are the behind the scenes struggle? As you said, one of the clearly identified struggle was the systems that you talked about, right?
Yeah.
But any other thing that you've seen repeatedly when you talk to the teams, when you go to your clients, when you're doing it, when you're having a word with them, any other couple of points that you might have seen or identified within that these guys are successful, but
behind the scenes
is something different.
And that's true, because anyone can put together a highlight reel on social media, on the website. And I've seen businesses, I won't say names here.
No.
They're on the outside, they look amazing.
Yeah.
But they're not making any, they're not selling anything, they're not doing anything. And it's just a really nice looking website and social media. So I think that's true. So behind the scenes, kind of lift the bonnet here a bit. For this one, maybe apply to a younger entrepreneur, so early 20s, you're all the energy in the world, right? But I think it probably will apply to more late career entrepreneurs who've had a corporate career, who now getting into, should I start my own thing? They have two things actually. Firstly, they carry a real employee mindset. And I will speak to maybe a certain segment of entrepreneurs. If you've never been an employee, you probably don't have that mindset. But there's a lot of kind of late career entrepreneurs now. They will have had a full career and then they go into starting their own business because it's cool. They want to do something, they're purpose driven, whatever it might be. And they've kind of got this employee mindset. So what that means is that they're always kind of going, it's someone's fault, right? Like that's what employees do. I did that, everyone did that. It's like my workload's too high because my boss doesn't set priorities. This is happening because, the company strategy is rubbish. Or there's always this someone to blame.
Yes.
And then you flick and there's like, who the F am I going to blame now? Like, I am it. And some people can't do that. And they find people to blame. And they'll blame the market. And I found that mindset myself. It's like, why am I blaming the market? Like we're all on the same boat.
Yeah.
The market is a great equalizer, right? So no one can blame the market. No one can blame the economy. That's an easy mindset to fall into. And I think as employees, we're bred into that mindset a little bit because there's always a high authority to bitch to, right? And so that was kind of a mindset shift for me internally, because for ages I used to kind of, not overtly, but inside I might say, like my business, we were slow first 2 or 3 years because of COVID. I was like, is that an excuse or is that actually, real? Can I challenge that thinking? So I think that mindset is another one. And the second one also relates to that is, I don't know, I'll blame Instagram for this. We seem to
take them, don't we?
I'll blame, influencers for this. Like we seem to have just created this kind of a false economy where somehow going into business is all about lifestyle and it's all about freedom. And
that's great.
And there probably is an outlying kind of small segment of business you can do that, right? Yes. And unfortunately, social media is flooded with those stories. No one really talks about the stories about the 99% of business. It is all grind.
Yeah.
And I don't think I've ever met anyone, because I don't even know many of those like influencers that make $1 million a month by working, 2 hours a week or anything. But most of the business people I've met, like myself, like others, you work your butt off, right? Particularly in the first 5 years, 3, 4, 5 years, depending on the kind of business you have. And I think that is something that anyone getting into business or wanting to scale should seriously consider about. Yeah. I stood up in front of the Waikato University crowd last week and I said, it's not for everyone. Like, I don't want to be some dream killer, evil guy here, but it's not for everyone, because
It's not.
that is just a different level of stress that you carry for quite a bit of time. It's not like you just switch off and go on a holiday. You're always thinking about it, right?
Yes, that's true.
And I don't know if a lot of people are necessarily prepared for that lifestyle for 6 months, a year, 2 years, 3 years. It might take 10 years, for it to go back. And interestingly, I think if you're kind of done it for 2, 3, 4, 5 years, you've changed your thinking already. So you're probably never going to find that freedom, because as soon as you have it, you kind of start a new venture anyway.
Yes, yeah, that's
you've
true.
now been changed forever.
Yeah, and there's a beautiful analogy I was reading the other day as well. It was about, I don't remember the full thing, but it was about the 4 aspects. It's a 4-burner theory. So include friends, family, your work, and then I think there was another one as well. But the theory was that every burner, because it's a high voltage burner, you can't burn it to the full. You have to dim down at least 1 or 2 to burn the rest of the 3 as well, pretty well. So now, if that could be, for example, your friends, your family, your work, or maybe anything that you're doing, like a gymming, for example. Let's say that's something you're doing. But you have to tone down something to focus on something, because otherwise, if you keep, doing what it is, you'll burn out yourself.
You burn out.
Yeah, 100%. And you identified quite well. It's not the Instagram fancy things either. The ex-Benny conversation we're talking about. It's exactly that. Like, I mean, if I was who I was right now, and if I wasn't here, and if I would be the guy I was in the past 10 years or 12 years, I would have looked at that and I would say, you know what, that is great in the morning, wake up at 9 o'clock, go have eggs Benny with a cappuccino, it would look amazing. But at the same time, that's not the right picture, because at the background there's a lot of stuff happening.
And not in New Zealand, because we don't have that scale either.
Yeah.
Even if you find that same niche, we can't scale as quickly as the US.
No, you can't.
So we're kind of constrained by that commercial or economic boundary.
Yes, that's true. That's absolutely true. But there are also, that triggers me to ask the next part of the question, which is of the leaders and founders who insist on being the smartest people, right? I mean, you must have come across those people when you are going in with your clients or going in a company. What happens when such entrepreneurs or founders, is kind of the smartest person in the room?
Yeah.
And are there always in which they, that actually slows down the company, or what does it do eventually?
I mean, none of that in the long run leads to anything good, I don't think. There's probably lots of ways this could go wrong.
True.
They probably have to be at some stage in the startup side of the business. But I think then when you're sort of scaling up, and we sort of normally see them emerge as kind of bottlenecks around decisions and people issues. So what that means is they get to a point where everything seems to come to them, because they're the final decision maker or the final kind of say on things. And so they start hiring people who are great taskmasters, but not great leaders or people with sort of autonomy. And that can even work, to be fair. That can work if you have really good communication channels, like where things are flowing in and out. You won't be a bottleneck. But then when it starts to fall over is that, and I've seen this, we haven't been there ourselves, probably not, but I've seen this in a lot of businesses, is you scale to a point where the founder starts to lose touch with the customer, because you've got a few people in between you. So what used to be an intuitively right decision, because you're on the ground, you're seeing it, right? You're seeing the customer, you're seeing the product, you're seeing the service, you're in the factory floor. 99% of decisions are right because you're in touch. So the knowledge is there, but they start to lose touch. And so then what happens? Only 80% of the time you're right, and then 70% of the time. And if you think about a really big company where it's scaled like that, they start making wrong decisions. Not because they don't care, because they do care, and not because they're not smart, because they are. They've just lost touch with the front line. So the risk of growing it with millions rather than people is that you will lose touch, and then one day, all of this stuff happens very slowly. You don't know that. You don't know you're losing touch. No one smacks you in the face and go, you're losing touch. You just start to lose 1 or 2 customers. You blame the market or you blame something, and then you lose another customer. And suddenly, you're going, the competitor's taken them all, and this is a 10-year rebuild strategy. So we've seen stuff like that. So I think being the smartest person in the room works to some point, but yeah, then it definitely doesn't lead to any good.
But talking about the smartest people, do they, I mean, this is just my curiosity, right? I mean, you've been in that zone quite numerous times. Are they still the people who actually like a central point of going out things? Like, for example, if a quote needs to go out, it still needs to be going through that, and being entrepreneur or the founder or leader in the team, it has to go through them, or how does it work? Or is it, are they good at delegating the opportunity, the opportunity to work, or delegating the authorities across the team?
Generally speaking, I would say no, because we come in to do
Exactly.
that, right? Like, but also a little bit of nuance to it. They're good at delegating tasks or delegating something, but they're not good at transferring ownership. So there's a difference between delegating something and then transferring the ownership, which means that, hey, I want you to take care of this client, the quote, delivery, everything. Now, I could tell you hey, can you write this proposal? I'll check on it, but it's yours, right?
Yeah.
Whereas me going, nah, you've got this. And if it doesn't work out, then you've got the consequences of it as well. If it works out, you reap the benefits. So that's like completely transferring the ownership of that task. And, if they don't, because, when you're scaling up, you don't always want people that are kind of traditional employees. You kind of want people that are pseudo-entrepreneurial under you as well. Because otherwise you end up with people that are just like, right, 5 o'clock, I'm out, right?
True.
That's kind of the typical employee mindset, and I'm not saying every person's like that, but what you kind of want is entrepreneurs, but they're never going to take the risk themselves, but they want to work in an entrepreneurial environment. So those are the ideal kind of people you want to attract in a scale-up, because they like that environment, they'll take that ownership, but they're probably not the kind of people who would go and risk all their money and put it all on the line. That's what founders do, and that's why they reap the benefits, right?
Absolutely.
It's like risk and reward. So I think if you start treating people like employees, you'll attract employees. Whereas if you start to kind of attract those entrepreneurial people, then they're going to need that. Otherwise, they're going to get bored and go somewhere else.
True. And I believe I understand the Indian analogy works very well with the smartest people. And I don't know, I've read somewhere is, I mean, this is the old traditional that we talked about, right? I mean, the owners, they want everything going through them because they feel, they're the smartest cookie in the whole room, and the people who are working for them are not too smart. So I think that is where I see a lot of traditional old background style where they want to do it. But again, how they are and how they want to do it, it's a different story altogether with them.
Yeah. And just in the defense of the entrepreneur who's struggling to let go, including me. Sometimes it's like we want to let go. But the customer is not letting us let go. Because, and I get that right now, because I'm like, no, the team's got it. They're like really capable. Some of them are more experienced than me. But the customers bought the
it's the face value that they're going with, right?
The face, the founder story. And so, like, that's one of my big struggles right now. I've got a really capable team.
But you touched base on a point right now. It's about the teams, right? And in New Zealand especially, I've been speaking to a lot of people, interacting as in not on this couch, but generally speaking with the people right across, because my work is about sales. And what I've seen is, the teams are made up of, friends, early believers, or people who are from the day one sort of stuff. But does that dynamic become dangerous as the business scales? If it does, how?
Yeah, and 100%, because, as a business scales, the culture shifts. And we see this with even sometimes you have more than one founder. So you have 2 or 3, 4 founders, and you kind of start a venture together, and you kind of work like a little brotherhood, or, like a team or a sisterhood, and you're just kind of pretty tight. And I always say, like a lot of founders say this, like, hey, we want to scale, but we don't want to become corporate, right? It's like a classic tagline, but it's like, you don't have to become corporate, but you need to start to not rely on relationships to get stuff done. Whereas before, like if you and I start a business and we're in the exciting startup phase, I could ring you at 11 o'clock and I say, Rich, can you like take care of this? Look at this, and you probably will. but you're not going to get that all the time forever, right? So everyone's kind of got a limit. So what we find is that you kind of get to a point where either two things happen, how it goes wrong. Two things happen. Either you start to have a divide between the shareholders and the employees.
Yes.
Because at some point, you can't just keep giving shares away. So you're going to have just normal employees, right? So not everyone can be kind of part of the business. So then you start to see this divide where the motivation, the drive, the work ethic, or the culture of the founders or founding group, the early number one, number two, is quite different to the rest of the company. So that's one way you kind of start to get this divide. Or the other part is sometimes you struggle to sort of let go of because, kind of going to my first point, I suppose, is you just create a different bottleneck. So everyone goes to the original crew rather than, and if you...
Yeah, and I think it is pretty, it is something we've noticed across, and this is personally, because we're born in India. We've seen this across in now that I'm in this vertical of things, I notice quite often. And, before it was just passing by, sort of scrolling past things, but now I do more often because I want to learn and I want to, go through things. And I've seen, there's a term for it in India. I'm not sure if you've heard it any time, but it's called, in Hindi it is called Ye Apna Banda Hai. So he's our own. He's one of our own. He's one from shreds. So when they say that, the initial trust is great, but at the same time, that person over the period of time, that's what I feel. It needs to understand, I think, that at the end of the day, it is business.
It is business.
It's business. It's not. And whoever comes and tells me that it's a non-profit organization, great, amazing face value to it.
It's still a business.
It is still a business. You're not doing it for free. The patrols are not coming for free. The money, the food on the table is not coming for free. So you gotta do something about it that turns the money in. And how you're gonna do it is even the non-profit organization can go out there and get the incentives from government or any kind of policies that are there, which in turn brings the money in over the period of time. And how you capitalize it, how you use it, that's the key, I believe, very well.
Yeah, and that trust is obviously important, but and even if they're not a family member, that's nepotism. But even if they're the initial crew, what you said. And sometimes I challenge this business. I say, have you built a business around people, or have you built a business and hired the right people? Like the two are quite different. And we see that happen as well. I mean, there's lots of ways can go around, but that's another thing I've seen quite a lot where you say, you'll be really good at this role. So because I trust you, I'll put you in this role rather than are you capable of that role? And I hope that you will learn. And then I will go, okay, well, Bridge, you're actually good at like 20% of this, 30% of this role. That's cool. Well, let's reshape this role for you. And then we'll just create a different role. And sooner or later, it just becomes this really messy structure where you've created roles for people rather than creating roles and hiring the right people. And that works for a while until that person leaves. And when that person leaves, you can't go to market and hire a person because your role is just so messy. It's not even a proper role. So we kind of see this as well. So we often challenge business. I'm saying, have you built a business around your trusted people? Or have you built a business that needs to be for the scale you need and then hired the best person in the job? And if your best man can't do that job, then you should have a conversation or a beer that you're just not good for the job.
It feels like they're stuck, right? I mean, if that person and if there's a role created, as you said, for that individual, and that individual leaves, or even if they are thinking, if the leader or the founder or the entrepreneur, they are actually thinking about that person and creating a sort of a role around them, and that person leaves, you're pretty much stuck in a situation, right? I mean, there's nowhere to go because you knew that. Now to go find the same person in the market, it's not possible that can fit the exact role. So now you got to chop and change your strategies around it.
Then you restructure.
Then restructuring it, and then you restructure it. The other person you got on the board to do the 70% of the job, he's out of the place as well. He's out because now you want 100% to be done by one person. But now, I mean, that is so true. Right? It gets just messy. But if a founder right now is listening to us and wondering whether they are stuck, what are the 2 warning signs inside the business that almost always confirms it?
inside the business, and I'm going to sort of assume that this is a kind of at least a business with 15, 20 people.
Yes,
right?
yes,
If it's
yeah.
like a couple of people,
like the normal.
Yeah.
Yeah, the small, medium size.
small,
Let's put it that
medium
way.
size,
That'd be better. Yeah.
So then we can actually,
Yeah.
I can give a better answer.
Yeah,
So
100%.
small,
100%.
medium-sized
Yeah,
business.
let's focus on that. Yeah.
And I'd say a couple of things I see is one is that they don't have any leaders apart from the one at the top. So they will have leaders by name. And maybe I see this more because that's the area I work in, right? I'm sure they have other financial stuff going on. But for us, the first thing we see is that they have a hierarchy of an org tree, like, hey, I'm a CEO, I've got a head of operations, and then I've got a team lead on the ground, and this is how we work, a crew of maybe sort of 15, 20. But it's pretty flat. It's all just goes to the CEO, right? So they're all kind of leaders by name. And so as soon as we sort of see that, we kind of go, right, we need to talk about this. And then don't do this and then turn around and say, oh, we brought you in because, I'm working 80 hours a week and I can't sustain that anymore.
True.
I said, well, systematically have created that environment so leadership is not distributed. In other words, leadership is not distributed. It's still at the top. People have titles because people like titles, but it's not actually distributed leadership.
Yeah.
And the second one is business still happens on relationships. And, a good test of this is that this never would happen, but hypothetically, if you were to just get rid of half the crew at all levels, and replace with half the crew, can you still operate at 80% effectiveness? You won't be 100% effective, we get that, but can you operate at 80% effectiveness? So what we're trying to tease out through that sort of questioning when we're working with businesses, or even sort of our business, we're kind of asking ourselves that question is that if this thing only works if there's a really strong personal relationship between, then that's a business risk because you are going to lose people for like a better opportunity or not performance. Somehow you're going to lose people. You're not going to retain that same thing for the next 10 years. Just won't happen. Otherwise, you probably hire the wrong people because they want to be in that job forever. So you often see like businesses all based on relationship. Now, I'm not saying culture is not important in a business. Trust is not important. But you can't do business on trust alone.
Yeah.
You need business to work, even if you chop and change one person to another one. And sort of, this is something I kind of started to reframe. But in the military, like we grew up with this because our team would change over a 2-year period. The whole team would be new, right? So that's kind of how the posting cycles used to work.
Yeah.
So what that means is you just have to work with what you have, and you have to just have good systems, good processes to onboard, to get the team together. And where this really manifests, I reckon, and this is kind of the rubber hitting the road, is this notion of I didn't hire this person, or we hired the wrong person, or the person's not culture fit. Like you probably heard of those things, right? And I said, that's an interesting thing to kind of hook your hope onto. It's a strategy of hope. It's like, hope I find the right person. The cost to hire is so high that I said, well, just take the crew that you have and have good systems. So it doesn't matter who comes in and out. So that's probably the second one we see, is that because those businesses have gone through the startup phase together, they get stuff done based on relationships. And you'll know this from the other side, that one of the scale-up pain points is not lacking processes and systems, because you never need it, because we trust each other. We know how we work. We don't need any of that. So that manifests quite a bit in the people space as well.
No, that's absolutely. And I think while we're talking about the SMEs, it will be good to get a bit of a understanding that these SMEs do reach out to you in their scale up phase, right? And what are the most common issues that always shows up and the business outgrows the founder's original idea of leading?
I'm going to say something slightly controversial. If a founder or a CEO or founder, the leader, if they reach out to me saying my team's got a problem, they've got a problem first, right? So it's never the teams, it starts with them. So we'll often say, and we've said no, gently said no, or we've kind of just avoided the conversation and not. If we kind of sense that the CEO wants us to come and change their team, but they're not willing to change. So that's a red flag for us, right? Because what we don't want is to do that and then not get results, because then that's bad for reputation. So I think from our side, I think the first thing kind of I would say is that if the business is going to change, the CEO or the founder needs to change. Anyway, that came to mind. Go back to your question though, because I want to make sure I do answer it. Because I'm great at going off tangents, right? This is just my brain.
That's okay. No problem.
So what was the question?
Yeah, it was, what are the most common issues that almost shows up once the business outgrows the founder's original idea of leading?
Oh yeah, okay. Yeah. So
let's put it two, like we begin to make rather than going on the way. Let's put even two. What are the two most common issues?
One is that they can't grow leaders. They can only create teams. So they can't grow leaders under them. So that would be, I reckon, number one. And the second one is that they struggle to change the culture of the business. So I want to talk a little bit more about this one because it's a bit nuanced. So what that means is that they've created a culture of the business that's got them here, but this culture is not going to get them to the next level. And people kind of really struggle to understand this because it's the culture. When I say culture, the behaviors, the attitudes, and what the team care about, what's important. That's all culture, right? And because there's such strong attachment to what got them here, because they made them successful, made them money, kept their team together. People struggle to let that go and deliberately change that, because your culture doesn't just change overnight, right? There's some deliberate strategy.
So moving on to the next stage, you talked about the SMEs, we talked about the nuances as well as the common issues that these guys face. In your view, and this is we talk about now the impact, the leadership, and the vision, right? That's what we're coming into. As you talk about the 10 and the 100 million sort of vision. So in your view, what are the top 2 leadership qualities modern entrepreneurs, founders talk about a lot, but rarely practice well?
Oh, so that's a good question. So they talk about it a lot,
but they don't do it actually.
Oh gosh, like where do I start? There's so much fluff out there. I think they parrot a lot of things that they hear on social media. Like they'll go to Alex Hormozi.
Don't tell me one or two. I want to hear them. What they say.
So I think they will say, people are the biggest asset, right? Like I'm going to go with
that's the most common one.
Or are people are the most important? I care about the people, but in reality, when the revenue drops and the P&L is looking ugly, they don't actually live that. Like takes a very courageous leader or a company to go, the P&Ls are looking shit, but I'm going to back my people. I'm going to keep my people. I'm going to invest in my people. It is the right thing to say, but not many people will actually follow up and doing it. I do know people that have done it. And this, if there was any doubt about this tension, and where this comes from, right, is because you hear people like Richard Branson say, invest in your people and your business will profit. But that makes it sound like an and proposition, but it's never an and proposition. It's always a tension, right?
Yes.
Because everything is a tension in business. There is no this nirvana. You can say that when you build a multi-billion-dollar company, you probably have like a nostalgia.
Yeah.
So I think that's one thing that they talk about, but they don't always do. Probably the other one, I'm going to go a slightly different angle here, because this is something we see and we've actually invested a fair bit in ourselves, which is the work-life balance. Because it is a marathon, right? So they will talk about work-life balance and how important it is and have fun or whatever their version is. But entrepreneurs are entrepreneurs for a reason, which is that they're like really sweet, not having a work-life balance. They're obsessive personalities. I think a lot of entrepreneurs also somewhere on the neurodiverse spectrum. So they are quite obsessive, quite focused, quite, they will chase the bone. And so they will talk about, but they know that, well, if they do that, then, that's not going to be good for people. Who's going to want to work at that pace?
Absolutely.
So they talk about work-life balance for the team, but in business, they lead completely differently. And so the team actually just follows what they do, not what they say.
Yeah.
So we see that a lot. And then what happens is the the team actually at some stage goes, why am I like pulling all these hours? It's not my business. I'm not getting paid anymore. I'm not getting an odd bonus, but I'm never going to work at the same pace as the entrepreneur does, because that's never going to happen. So I think that's another one. So you'll see in this day and age where well-being is so important, and we know that it is important. It's not trying to say it's not, but yeah, they will say that, but they won't do it. Yeah.
That's interesting as well, because I mean, you get a lot of stuff. I mean, there's a lot of things that modern people out there talk about it. You need to run the business X, Y, and Z way. I've seen one of the videos as well where the guy gives the salesperson a Porsche 911 as well. Oh, you did a great job, mate, for 5 years. Here you go. What's your dream car? This is the keys to it. I mean, again, to trust that much that it actually happens, and how much after the camera happens, it's we're not entirely sure how it works. So that it is an interesting kind of a leadership traits, or how you see these days, on especially in the world that we're living right now. But if you connect yourself, right, you've been in the defense 17, 18 years? 18 years, right? And how was your experience with being in defense for such a long time?
Connecting to the business, or just
in general?
Yeah, I can definitely. But can I say one thing for the record?
Yeah.
In case my team watches this podcast, is that thing I said about work-life balance, I'm guilty of that.
Okay.
So that's what I say. And they call me out all the time on this. It's like, so how's your battery? I was like, don't talk about it. So I'm just as guilty. I don't put that on the record. If they watch this, they'll be like, hypocrite. No, I struggle. But the defense part, I mean, 18 years was a long career. So for me, but it was also like I was groomed for it. I'm third generation military. Dad was Navy, granddad was Air Force. So I kind of felt like military was quite
in there.
Home. Yeah,
there's a home.
I grew up with like some really strict discipline. I used to get up in the morning at 5 o'clock, even as a kid.
Yeah,
right. Those are sleep-ins. We had to exercise. Like we had to kind of not talk during meals. Like, so there was all this like little
That's
things.
A proper military stuff. Yeah.
Granddad used to have his glass of rum.
Yeah.
I didn't have it, but what I meant, but whatever those little things are, it doesn't matter what it is. But I kind of grew up with a lot of discipline.
Yeah.
And I had no issues with authority because I was surrounded by elders who had served, so they all had the authority and the mana. So I actually really enjoyed my career, and for me, probably what was interesting is that how much of my life I actually followed because of someone else's story for me.
Yeah.
So I joined the military because my dad wanted to, right? I don't know if I really wanted to. I enjoyed my career, 18 years of it. When I joined, I got told, get a trade.
True.
Because you get paid more. And I was like, sweet, I get a trade. So I became an engineer. I was an electrician, and I became an engineer, got paid more.
Wow.
But then I sort of realized, actually, I don't enjoy that. I enjoyed having a team and leading people. So that was kind of my big shift into general management. So the military career had, I think, helped me two ways. Firstly, it helped me kind of just discover myself, but without going on a bender or, like kind of wasting my time outside.
That's true.
Getting paid. I was leading people. I was doing some cool stuff. But the other thing as well, it helped me along the way kind of find the discipline to be able to do what I do now. So yeah, I can go through lots of military stories.
Absolutely. No, fair enough. I'm sure, because I have my my good, very, very, very good friend of mine, and his dad is into military as well. In India, he served long years, and he's come here. And my wife has got a friend as well who is into Navy. So I do know, that there will be humongous amount of stories. It could be here till the dinner time and keep talking about it. But if we connect your, defense side of things, what are the two traits from defense culture that are directly transferable to the, people who are, in the emerging founder space who wants to become strong or build strong leaders or build strong teams?
So I'm going to connect it to that, like building the team piece. So for me, So we always says the thing, right, that you can't lead a team if you can't lead yourself.
That's true.
Like that's the thing. And when you are a founder, with you're scaling up or starting up, you're probably under the most amount of stress that, if there's a spectrum of people under stress, you'll be kind of up there, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot of stress. There's financial stress, seeing your family, you're working long hours. There's a lot of stress. One thing that the military teaches you really well through experience is how to kind of really push yourself to your mental and physical limits.
Yep.
And I was big into that. So I was kind of, when I walked out, no matter how hard it got, I could kind of still keep myself together. I didn't sort of implode on myself. So when I started to scale up and when I started to kind of have a team, I still had the ability, like some days I would kind of, the darker days of kind of the journey of scale-ups, right? Is and I remember like last year I didn't quite forecast right. I was still learning, and the cash flows didn't add up. And I remember this one time, so I was going through some kind of death in the family, so there's some really kind of personal stuff going on. I'd completely run out of cash, so I was ringing banks at like trying to get an overdraft to try and kind of keep because I invested a lot in the business as well. It's not that I blew it on anything, just invested in the business. And at the same time, kind of there's some relationship stuff going on. My kids were kind of going through some stuff with school changes. So I was just carrying so many bricks on my back. And at the same time, I remember I had to just kind of show up to this one meeting with the team. And every little fiber in my body was just like, nah, just call it. Like, just can't make this one. Just prioritize yourself. And I just remember going, like, what would you do if you're on deployment? Would you just kind of, in the Middle East, just kind of go, sorry, can't make it? Like, you're not going to do that, right? So I think in those sort of darkest moments, the strategies that I had built over an 18-year career, and some of the strategies were tested under much, much serious and more strenuous circumstances. Like that sort of stuff just kind of kept me going through that. So when I was leading a team, I always try my best to present not a calm, because sometimes it's more emotionally regulated, because you don't have to be calm all the time or jolly all the time or optimistic all the time. You just have to be emotionally regulated, because sometimes the team needs to see the pressures. So we often say that you don't need to be emotionless, but you just need to be emotionally in control. And everyone knows when you're not emotionally in control, because you're being a dick about it, right? It's just like, so I think for that helps in the startup, but definitely when you're having a team, because you can say this about any leader, but definitely as a business owner, as a founder, you just have to go, I'm going to deal with all this complexity. I'm going to carry it, and I'm going to not pass it on to my team.
Sure.
I'll make sure they're aware of it, but I'm not passing that stress and the burden onto my team, because that is not what my job is. And it's kind of part and parcel of your role to just carry it. That's where you get rewarded for it. So.
And what would you talk about? I mean, that's a great analogy that you put it in, how defense actually helps to build those kind of mentality to even go through the hardest point that you have within the business, right? I mean, if you're going through the tedious of the period, but the quality of not giving up is one of the most important things, right?
Which is the
most important things. And I'm sure the rest of the stuff just adds up. But what should founders do when they realize that their service is good, but they're struggling with the leadership on scaling?
Hire leaders, not experts. Like that's my first one, hire leaders. I would say as a whole, founders don't always make great people leaders.
Yeah.
Right. At some stage, or just even managers of a business, at some stage, I think the best thing a founder can do is to step back and bring what we call it professional leaders. Like that's their job, and like bring someone who's a good people leader, who's a good manager, who can execute a strategy. Just step away, because founders also have, and I'm guilty of that. They have this sort of serial entrepreneurial, serial kind of, they're always looking for the next idea, right? And that's just kind of what makes you. You're always looking for the next idea, and you want to tweak things. That's really dangerous for a scale-up business, because you need stability. So I've actually met, I know quite a few founders who would just, because they step back and they have some time on their hand. It's like, oh, what do I do with all this new time? I'm going to go like, tutu with this thing. And it's like, oh, we should do this in business, and then bring it in. And they actually create more chaos than good. Because if you've got a good product and you've got a tested product or service and you've got some systems and process, the best thing you can do is just let it be and let it grow and let people grow within that so that it's self-sustaining. Like I used to be an engineer, right? So I was a naval architect, and that was kind of like my way of leading. I used to outknow and outdo my team, outwork my team all the time, outknow my team, knew more than them. But at some stage, I had to make this flick, which is kind of like a founder, right? You know your product, you know your service, and you outwork your team. So that's kind of how I used to lead, like a founder, but in-house. And then at some stage, I made this flick. It's like, what is my expertise? It's no longer the product or the service. My expertise, I'm an expert at getting the best out of people.
Yeah.
That was a big shift for me. And as soon as I made that shift, I was like, oh, sweet, everything makes sense now. And the scaling horizon in my mind just kind of went, I can achieve anything. If I can scale people, I can scale anything, right? So I started to then kind of read up on things that, like, how do I get the best out of a person? How do I build culture? How does behavioral science work under pressure? So that's why you need a people leader. And if the founder can't be it, get out of the way. Like, make space for someone.
Absolutely. And you said it pretty well, because I think there's time and space for everybody everywhere. And I think if the leader is a guy who's not being the founder or entrepreneur, whoever's on the top of the tree, if he's the person who's roadblocking, I think it is wise enough to get out of the way, let the guys do let the actual guys who are, and you have to accept that fact that sometimes you're not the only one who can do 10 things. Yes. You are best at 5. Let's stick at 5. Yes. The rest of the 5 can be done by somebody else who are much better in that area and so on. We move towards the last part of our conversation, right? And a couple of things that resonated quite well, which you said is about the army background, like how you got the skills from, the dad and how it turns into place. Similarly, when I started noticing myself as a sales guy, I started believing my dad was a distributor back then in Gujarat, and he had the companies for FMCG companies that he was to distribute as well back in the day. And I think when I reflect myself onto a couple of things, one of those things has come to me is because of him, because I've seen him selling, I've seen him talking to people, and the way he used to talk to people, the way he used to build relationships with people. I think I do think that is one of the reflective moments I always get, that I'd done this well. Could be one of the traits that Dad used to do back in the past, right? So I'd always talk to myself about that. But moving on to the last part, we also wanted to talk about, if you could speak to similarly, if you got an opportunity to speak to your founder who's standing right at the edge of the growth and fear right now, what's one sentence you would want them to hear?
Oh, one sentence. Let me think about that. So what's the one sentence that I would want a founder to hear if they're about to scale? Listen to everyone, but do it your own way. Listen to everyone, but do it your own way. No. I wish I'd took that. Someone gave me that advice. My life would have been better.
No, that's right. Interesting, right? I mean, it is quite strong, quite powerful, and even I think it resonates with the people who are even thinking right now, right at the edge, sitting in their garage, thinking whether we should start this or not. Listen to everyone, but make sure you do your best step forward. And last but not the least, and this is we asked to most of the people who here come in. I've asked everybody coming here, and it would be wise enough for me to ask you as well. What is the one scaling secret you believe founders must understand if you want to grow the business?
Actually, that last bit would have been it, but let me think of a different one, because I've already given you that one.
Yeah.
So it'll be one. Do you know actually what comes to mind?
Sure.
I'm just going to go what intuitively, what's emerging for me is that there is no secret to scaling. I think it's just trial and error. I think I've spent a lot of money on coaching and courses and reading books, trying to find that secret myself. And what I found was, this might go against the name of the podcast, but I think you can't look for the silver bullet. There is no secret. There is only trying and then learning from it and going again. That's probably what's worked for me the most, is that I've just gone, well, give it a try. It's good enough. It didn't work. Cut my losses, move on, do it again, get up, do it again.
Absolutely. I think I take that as a secret. I mean, defending myself, but but I'll take that as a secret because most of the people don't believe in trial and error as well.
Ah, yes.
Exactly right. So I think it is much more for people to get that secret out there. There's no silver bullet. It's hard work. It's about trial and errors. Go out there, test yourself, test your product, test your services, and see what's the best outcome you can get out of it. And that's the secret. That is the secret you need to know. Yeah. But now we come to an end of our conversation, of an amazing conversation. Thank you so much, Kenny, for coming on as our guest on the Scaling Secrets podcast. Do you want to say anything to the audience, about the cameras? You can look it over here, let them know.
Oh, that one?
Yeah.
I can say.
Go ahead.
The biggest thing I would say, if you're thinking about going down either starting a business or you're scaling a business, particularly in New Zealand, is that you're not alone. So connect with people, and not just the people that you connect with that are friends, but connect with other entrepreneurs. We don't have a huge entrepreneurial community. I've complained about this to Simon Bridges, so hopefully something will come out of this. But we don't have a huge entrepreneurial community, so connect with people who share the same pain points as you. I didn't do that enough when I started, but when I started to do it, it made the biggest difference. So that'd be my thing. Don't get isolated on your island of worries. Just get out and connect.
Beautiful. No, thank you so much. And as my piece on the end of this is, scaling is just not about revenue, teams, or systems, right? It's about whether the founder is willing to evolve before the business even forces them to outgrow. And I think that is the main important theme of our conversation today. If this conversation, if it resonated, share it with the leader, tag the leader, send one of our pages to them, and let them listen to the secrets we've shared today. And if you think if that is a leader who's carrying more than he admits that he's carrying with him, I think this is the podcast for him to listen to. Thank you once again, all the listeners. Subscribe to our channel for Scaling Secrets, and we are here to help the founders, the startup growers, and talk to them about how they can break the bond of kicking off their next big thing for themselves. Please like, share, and subscribe. See you in the next episode.